What are you going to get in this YouTube video? You're going to get the thoughts of one American citizen, Mark J. Lindquist, that's me. You're going to get the thoughts of one American who thinks that he can change the whole country and maybe the world. I mean, they told us that we could, right? In kindergarten. I'm the greater fool. Like Aaron Sorkin says in Newsroom, that the greater fool has just the right combination of self-confidence and delusion to think that I can succeed where others have failed. That's his definition, and I love it. I want to be a greater fool. In that show, he says that the whole country, America, was built by greater fools. They believed that they could succeed where others have failed. I believe that this is our time to reimagine what the future of the United States of America will look like in the next 250 years. The 2.5 centuries that we have traversed through the journey of America for the past 250 years, the improbable experiment in self-governance that still stands today. America, the country that is the longest running democracy in the history of the planet. We have another chapter to write. It's volume 2. Hopefully, it's a brighter future. But right here at the time when we're going to turn 250, if you're counting from the time of the Declaration of Independence, wouldn't this be a perfect time for people to start having a conversation? Well, what does the next 250 years need to look like? And I don't know. I don't see anybody talking about that. So I'm starting. I'm nobody. I got 13,000, 14,000 followers on X. I got a few thousand on Instagram. I've never done social media. So here I am for the first time, attempting to get my thoughts, my perspective, my ideas about self-governance, American politics, the future of America, getting them out online. Because apparently that's what we're all paying attention to these days. I have no control over whether this will take off. I have no control over whether this will become a movement to the level that I believe that we can build a movement of thought. But I have to try. I have to try. Okay, why am I doing this? It's called America 2.0. The cool thing about it is back when I was running for Congress, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, I emailed Mark Cuban. I heard him say America 2.0 on some YouTube video. And I asked him, I said, can I use this as a theme for my campaign to change America? He said, of course, go for it. And so, not that Mark Cuban has endorsed anything that I'm saying, but I got the idea, the title, America 2.0 from him. So thank you, Mark. You got a great first name, by the way. I just believe that now somebody needs to come along and spark new thought about politics in America. Because, I mean, what a waste of time listening to what's going on in Washington. Now, I get it. People say, well, you have to stay informed because, you have to keep them accountable. Well, how's that going? They are running the train off the tracks. And I believe that there is a necessity for the American people to have somebody working over here in the corner, away from what the mess of Washington is. Somebody working over here on a master plan that we might be able to use as a blueprint, as a framework of thought to be able to build the abundance of the future of America upon. Take where we've gone so far, take the wonderful ideas and the concepts that the framers put together for us, build upon them, and come up with new ideas and frameworks of thought for a modern age. Somebody has to be doing that. I don't see anybody doing it. So for lack of a better option, here I am on the internet every single day, ranting about what I believe the brightest of the future could be for America, what the bright future of America could be. So somebody's got to do it. I've always been a person. Since I grew up in Ortonville, Minnesota, you can go to my town of 2,000 people, Ortonville, Minnesota, the best town on planet Earth, Fargo, North Dakota. The same wonderful people are there. Go there and ask him if Mark is a kook. Ask him if he can be trusted. Ask him if you think he's a good guy. And you're going to find that I believe that most people who have ever run into me in my life have all thought that I was a decent guy. I served in the U.S. Air Force. I held a top secret security clearance with the United States government. I worked for NSA, the National Security Agency. I worked in a secure facility. I had a TSSCI clearance. I served honorably for 6 years. Got promoted through the ranks of the U.S. Air Force as fast as you could. I don't think anybody can make it to staff sergeant from E3 faster than I did. I served my country. I was an ambassador, a de facto ambassador for the United States of America in the United States Air Force in 22 countries and 38 states at almost every major American Air Force installation on the planet. I'm in Ukraine right now. I've been volunteering out here, fighting for the cause of freedom on Earth at the eastern edge of the free world for the past 3.5 years, providing medical supplies and vehicles, volunteering my time, lost wages, lost business, lost potential of, the life I was building in America. I dropped it all to come over here to Ukraine because the cause of freedom was about to be extinguished over here. I'm just a kid who wants better for America. I look at American politics today and it is a fucking mess. Americans are hating Americans. That's not good. Who led us there? A divisive politics led us there. Republicans are hating Democrats. Republicans believe that the source of their problems are Democrats, and the Democrats believe that the source of their problems are Republicans. Those are both American citizens. I can't stand that. We've divided ourselves against each other, and our enemies on earth love it. Oh, a house divided cannot stand against you. That's like the oldest trick in the book. Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, Putin, all the folks on the bad guys list, they're all rejoicing that America is divided against itself. Oh, we can't get anything done in America. Why? Because we're at each other's throats. We're divided. I think that the current framework in America, the current framework of our politics in America it's clearly not living up to its fullest potential. Think about the best America could be. Think about the best that American society could produce. Think about the greatest vision of what self-governance could be. It is not Republican and Democrat. It is not hyper-partisan. It is not left versus right. It is not liberal versus conservative. These definitions are old and busted thinking. They're old, broken frameworks of thought that I believe in America 2.0 we must cast aside. We must move beyond the conditioning of the past 80 to 100 years plus and set aside this spirit of party as George Washington warned us of 220 some years ago. He said, beware the spirit of party. I think we need to return back to his thinking, which is thinking that we need to adopt in America 2.0, this new iteration, this next iteration of what America is going to be. What is America 2.0? It is an online movement of thought sparked by me. Who am I? I'm a motivational speaker who rants on stage for an hour, 90 minutes at a time, gets paid 5 figures an hour, to top 1% motivational speaker in America and in the world. I do this for a living. I want to lend my best abilities to this cause, the cause of America, which Thomas Paine says is the cause of all mankind. It is, I think it's dire in America. The time is urgent, and it's not because of Republicans or Democrats. It's not because of who's in power right now or who was in power 2 years ago. It's both of them. That they have led us to this culture of political division, and we are going to run this whole country off a cliff. If somebody doesn't get a hold of the wheel and say, wait a second, folks, there's a better way. Can we just imagine a better way? Can we put our time and efforts that we spend online discussing and commenting about politics and posting about it, can we instead redirect that time that is now, I believe, in being wasted in a unfruitful enterprise, which is the current political structure, and instead, can we redirect that time to something that might be good for America, right? America 2.0. Can we imagine what the best of us could be? What could we come up with if we used our imaginations and challenged ourselves to find the optimal way of self-governance, the optimal processes, the optimal election parameters, the way that we vote, the way that we think about politics, the way that we solve problems, the way that we come up with solutions. There's got to be a better way than what we're doing. And nobody is talking about in a serious manner, in a non-ideological, non-partisan, no political aspiration manner. We are not ideological. We are not hyper-partisan or partisan at all. We are not a political party. And we don't have any political aspirations. I don't have any political aspirations. Let me tell you, I tried that bullshit and never again. I would rather somebody do this than me run for office again. The last time I did that, I ended up in a mental institution, and that isn't just joking or, over-exaggerating. I landed in the Fargo VA mental hospital. There's no way I'm doing that shit again. It almost took my life the last time. I'm not doing it. But what I can do is I can spark a movement of thought, helping Americans reframe the way that they think about politics and the exercise of self-governance. I think what we can do is we can, out here in society, get enough people organized online on the platforms that the tech geniuses have bestowed upon us. And they've given us ways to nominate the best ideas through likes, follows, and shares. It already exists that we can find the best solutions. We can find the best ways of thinking through a technique of surveying that we already know, which is like, follow, and share. Those ideas can rise to the top, and then we can share them and present them to the American people outside of political party, outside of ideology, and say, hey, if we were going to be modern day framers for the next 250 years, here's some ideas that I would suggest. And just to give you a little bit of context so that it's not so ethereal, is that the right word? It's not so abstract. I think that we should bring to the table in America 2.0 an 80-20 thinking. I believe that we should have voters who identify as nonpartisan thinkers, anti-partisans, folks that identify with solutions first thinking. 80-20 thinking, what is it? It's the idea that 50-50 thinking, which is what the Republicans and Democrats bring to the table, which is all they want is a solution that gets 50 plus 1. That's a pretty low bar. If I'm going to lead anybody, I don't want just half the people with me, and I don't want half the people against me. What I want to come up with a solution, a way of leading people, a way of casting a vision, a way of communicating my solution that 80% of the people or more can get behind. That is not impossible. You cannot tell me that we can't come up with 80% solutions to America's problems because we haven't even tried. We haven't challenged ourselves to that. We haven't put the right people in place. We haven't put the right framework of thought behind it to ask ourselves, are there 80% solutions to things like abortion and gun control and taxes and immigration and all these problems that plague society and divide us greatly? Don't get me started. Where do I think we can go? I think we can identify new frameworks of thought. And one of them is 80-20 thinking, is that we would bring people to Washington, and we would have a government who seeks first not to start from division, which is where political parties start, but instead start from a common goal, which is we got to come up with a solution that 80% of us agree upon. And we don't vote on it. We don't enact it into law. We keep it status quo in American government until we come up with a solution that 80% of us agree upon. Then we vote upon it, then it is codified into law. Because I know people will be afraid when I start talking about the fact that we can eliminate 87% of these clowns in Washington with one election. Do the math on that. It's 435 House seats are up for election this next year. Every 2 years they are. And a third of the Senate we can re-elect, get rid of. So we could get rid of 87% of these clowns next year. And you could do that every 2 years if you wanted. People are going to get afraid by that. They're going to say, oh no, some sort of political revolution. Well, of course we need some political revolution. But really it's political reimagination. What should these leaders be dedicated to? They should be dedicated to the premise that we are going to find solutions that 80% of us agree upon. Like I said, if you're scared about the 87%, the idea is to keep everything status quo. until we find that solution, and then one solution at a time. Single issue bills, not this bullshit of 10,000 words, 100,000 words in one bill. Staffers don't read it. Elected representatives, senators, and congressmen don't read it. It's bullshit. It's unbelievable. No, single issue legislation is what we need to pass, and then improve things like the rest of the world does, 1% at a time. One issue at a time, one idea at a time, one agreement at a time. That's what I see. That's where I think we can go. Don't tell me it's not. Don't tell me that it is impossible. Don't tell me it is impossible to get people in American society as smart as we are, as connected as we are, with the platforms that we possess, with the technology that exists, with the desire to come up with something new, with the idea that every time you hear that most of the people are in the middle, and the 80% of us are here, but the 20% of the fringes, they rule us all. Don't tell me that we can't move past an era of Republican Party and Democratic Party rule. We can. We can imagine a future in the United States of America where the Republicans and Democrats and the people who've held us down for so long and divided us against one another, we can get rid of them with one election. We can get rid of them. How? With better thoughts. How do we find better thoughts? Like I said, through these social media platforms. And then we got to find better leaders, better people who understand that maybe it would be time to, instead of sending career politicians to Washington, what if we would nominate some of these tech geniuses and some of these unbelievably smart young people who have built the trillion-dollar companies, the first trillion-dollar companies that exist? And what if we could nominate them and ask them to take a sabbatical from their work for 2 years or 6 years and help solve America's problems and put their big brains to work and their networks to work, and the Sam Altmans of the world and the Tristan Harrises of the world and the Mark Cubans of the world and the smartest people in society. What if we were to ask them to just serve, not for a career, just 2 years, and then give it to one of your buddies, another non-partisan, non-ideological problem solver? What if we could give people the option to nominate people who actually are smart and solve problems, instead of people who are only concerned with lining their own pockets, preserving their own power, and subscribing to the old thinking that is proven to be inferior and doesn't work. That is partisan thinking. It doesn't work. It doesn't solve problems. I think that's where we can go. I think we can present ideas like that enough of us online, away from PACs, away from super PACs, away from elections, away from candidates, that we could get together with these ideas and say, hey, America, we demand this. We demand better. We demand a system, a framework of thought that moves us away from what has divided us and almost ruined the country. It's America 2.0. It's a silly idea I came up with in my head in a one-bedroom apartment in Moorhead, Minnesota on 8th Street, and I wrote a book about it, and I've been thinking about it for the last 4 years since I did. I'm finally at a place in Ukraine where I think my chapter of volunteerism, even though this war is not over and the donations are still needed, I'm finally at a place in my head and my heart that I need to move on to something else. And that is this. It is being in front of a camera, attempting to articulate a better America, attempting to articulate a future in this country that we can all agree upon, and finding and recruiting people online who can be future founders of this country, who will found the next 250 years of self-governance in the great American experiment. I hope you join me. I hope you'll find America 2.0 on X and Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Threads and carrier pigeons and smoke signals and whatever the hell it is. Because enough of us have got to get around the virtual table, get on Zooms, eventually meet in town halls. I'll teach you how to collaborate. I'll get on Zoom with you. I'll lead the discussion. That's America 2.0, 2.0, right? That's the next iteration. That's the next phase. America 2.0, 1.0 is this. It's getting these thoughts out there. It's establishing our presence online. It's finding followers, getting to the first 10,000 followers, getting to the first 100,000 followers, getting this to spread word of mouth. and somehow, some way, getting us to reinvent American self-governance. It's America 2.0. My name is Mark J. Lindquist. I'm hosting the discussion. I am not an appointed leader. I have no name, rank, or title. I have no political aspirations. I only have an aspiration to lead the conversation and spark some new thought, like I have done as a motivational speaker for the past 11 years at the top of that industry. In that industry, I always attempt to say something you haven't heard before, make you think like you haven't thought before, lead you to an aha moment, hopefully make you laugh, and say it with some energy. That's what I'm going to do here at America 2.0. It's a movement of thought, and I'm sharing them right here. Thanks, my friends. See you next time. Hey, stop. Come on.